Hello all, welcome back to Feldy, made by Farmer Yip. He's just admonished us to get out and farm, which I will do. And I've spent some time, I think, off cam to do some various things in here, try to catch up on some farm work and whatnot. And I think for the moment, let me get him going. We're hauling, what are we hauling? Hogs. That's what we're hauling, with our handy-dandy new livestock trailer that's been working a treat. So while he is going, we'll just cycle through our equipment, kind of like we typically do. I ended up combining this whole field over here. This is a new field, you'll recall. I don't remember what number the field was. It doesn't matter. You can see kind of where we're sitting down in the southeast corner of the landmass. I've combined it, and I'm now coming through and making lots of bales, lots of physics problems it's that we can later pick up and sell, so he's doing that. I think I just re-upped his twine. We got this guy hauling biofuel when we need it. I don't think we need anything at the moment. Alright, we'll just cycle by him. I want to come back to this area here in a moment. Kind of as we just cycle through here. And I think that's about it. Yeah, we got the corn head over here. We've taken care of all of our barley. There's a field of barley over here. Of course, that's the one we're baling. I believe there's a field of wheat. And yeah, according to that, I don't think I've touched it yet. I don't think anyhow. So that is still left to do. Plus, we have to thresh our corn here. I'm going to opt to thrash it. I was considering bringing the forage harvester up here and getting something, that we could turn into silage. But I know we have a bunch of, we need corn to offset in our, here, let me just go find it, in our biofuel processing here. Let me see, biofuel plant. Yeah, see all the canola we have? There's just a boatload of it in there, so I think I'm going to poke as much corn as I can in there as well, so we can continue. Oh, we got the trailer all set up so we can kind of continue making that. And, just for kicks here, why don't I get him going? Oh, we missed a train. Yeah, I don't think we can see it from here, but I just heard it go by. Love hearing it. That means the modding work that we did in there is still working. Oh yeah, I can't do a full swath here because this one here is kind of a funky header. So tell you what, we're gonna just try that. Let's get it on maize, and I think that's all I need to do, and it will happily go round and round the field. And I think the next one, of course, is our hogs. Since we're here, let's just reset the course. I believe I have a course play set up that we can haul these to market. Just get that down here to pigs, to HAKLMNOP. Can't even do my, here we go, pig to market. We'll get that, and let me turn around here. Kind of like I expressed in a previous video, I've been very impressed with this trailer. It's been a wonderful mod. It shows both hogs and cattle in it, and I've been kind of wondering if it shows other animals in there too, although I don't think we'll have opportunity to experience it in here. Let me back in here. Come on, a little bit further, a little bit further. There we go. Somewhere in there we hit the trigger. Yeah, look at that. It even has, there's a little particle animation. Yeah, that's kind of the way Farmer Yip had to set this up, to do that. Actually, let's check real quick, too, and see how much we have of hogs. Pig storage 49,000. So we basically have another 4 to 4.9 trailer loads. 5 trailer loads basically total. And we got the I1 pressed up against it so hard it kind of passes through. Well, I'm going to get him going. We'll get him to stop there. And I said I wanted to spend a little time down here. I'll kind of hop out of the tractor as we kind of come by here. So, this area over here, well, as we know, kind of on the far end of it is the cattle processing. Just kind of taking a walk through here. But one area we haven't been that I've discovered that needs to be, see, right over where this other calf is, right in the middle of the frame, that's just to the right of him, is the trough where we put in all the ingredients, the bedding and so forth to feed cattle. But in this barn is intended to be for our milk cattle. And so I've been kind of looking at the map. I know I've proven to myself that you can purchase milk cattle in game. You can see them out in the pasture, happily eating grass, so forth and so on. But what I didn't know is whether all the component parts of having milk cattle worked. You know, I know in another episode I talked kind of about the milk truck. There is no spline on this map, you know, that's gonna, I don't know if I can see it, right over where our windrower is, that blue thing way down there. It are a couple milk tanks, and over there is a trigger for the truck to pick up. Once we eventually have cattle in here, I don't know if the milk truck will appear there briefly, then disappear. I hope it does. That'd be kind of cool. I just haven't thought that I would, you know, take the time to set up a spline, but who knows what I'll do. Maybe it'll eventually show up, because I sure am spending a whole lot of time on some other things in here. So typically, of course, you would have the milk tank, you would have a trough to put feed in, and you'll recall in Farm Sim 11, that could be grass or dry grass, and this is a trough in here where that can go. And I believe you can also, well, wait a minute, oh, let me say this carefully. I think the trough, you would put grass and dry grass. Either one would work. Here's also another trough in here, one on either side. And I've double checked in the editor, and there are triggers up and down this whole thing, so you can indeed dump those things in there, but they were set up a little bit differently from how I was anticipating. You'll remember that in the base game map there also was a kind of a silage bunker, if you will. Only until you got the DLC, you really didn't turn anything into silage. What you would do is go out and chop corn, and then you would come dump it into a bunker such as this. And I think the presumption was that it would turn into silage. But basically what you would do is dump it in there, and all you were really doing, it's no different than putting wheat in storage. You know, you put chaff in storage, if you will, and it would show up even in your down here in your PDA as to how much you had. And then the game would take from what you had in there and mete it out to the cattle. Now, obviously, that changed, you know, in future versions of Farming Sim, but I think that's kind of how it was set up in Farm Sim 11. So, one of these, maybe both. This one, yeah. No, one of these was chaff. This one here was for chaff. This one over here is for grass. I think you put grass in here. Now, this was intended, I believe, to be storage, or kind of how Farmer Yip had it set up is this, if you dumped it in here, it was basically the same as if you dumped it in the trough. So whether you dumped it here or you dumped it in the barn over here, you were feeding the cattle. Well, I wanted to change that just a little bit. So this over here, I took away from being a trough, and I tried to put in some triggers too. It's like, well, what if I dump grass here and then I want to pick it up? So I copied some setups that Farmer Yip had on some other storage bunkers that he had. And frankly, I haven't even tested them. I don't know if they work. I did the same over here with the chaff. Now, this one, the game will feed to the cattle, so if you dumped all the chaff here, it will feed it to them over time, just like the regular game. But I also wanted the ability to get some of it back out, if I so chose. So I put some triggers in here. And then I figured, in real life, when you have silage and you're feeding it to the cattle, you can go and dump it in the trough and feed it to them directly. There's no need to hide it in a bunker over here and assume that some little peoples come out, at the end of the day and they haul it over there for you. So I went into all the triggers in here, and there's a boatload of them, a row of them on either side, which I wish I could show them to you, but if I do, it'll crash the game. It must be too weak of a computer. But all the triggers in here are set up so you can directly dump into the trough chaff, grass, or dry grass. Now, of course, that means when you put chaff in here, you're also going to see it build up in that bunker over there. So we'll just have to ignore that little bit of unrealism, if you will. Oh, hey, we're done. Let me go check out. We'll just sell some hogs while we're here. I probably should go check out in the field for my corn combine too. I'm pontificating away about all this. This is so great. I just love this trigger back here because I learned that the back end of this opens and presumably to let all the piggies out. Alright, here we go. Let's dump it. Of course, there's cows. There's gotta be a way to fix that. I don't know. Oops, I don't know what's making the noise, but I think if I do some modding on this, one thing I'd like to do is say, hey, look at what's in the trailer, please. Before you start making racket. Okay, it's turning it off. Alright, let's get M, that would be up here, market to pig. Alright, we're going to set it up here, we're going to send it off into the bright blue yonder. I think you can make the corner. Yeah, there it goes. Alright, let's go take a visit of our combine out here somewhere, if I can get to it. Yeah, he's probably fully sitting over there, probably like a bump on a log. Just checking my fuel here, because once I get a full load from this guy, it costs money to move stuff in here. It takes a lot of fuel. Oh, and you know what? I kind of got to sit here till he's done dumping because he's dumb enough he doesn't want to continue moving once he's done unloading. Some little defect in that, if you will. Oh, I was going to say I stand corrected, but alright, we'll get him out of here. Okay, Combine, you can go. Very good, very good. Okay, alright, he's heading down. I want to get back over here to here. Actually, I'll just head. Sorry, I don't mean to whip everybody around. We'll just kind of go up through the middle. These are all static objects in here. And you know what? I kind of had an idea on that too. These, I believe, would be part of the mod that Farmer Yip put in here with all the factories for producing beef. I'm going to assume the milk cattle don't come in here, that they just remain out in the field. I guess we can kind of pretend. But I do have an idea. Since cattle in Farmer Yip's mod are kind of like a fill type like any other, when you have them in storage, there's a script called the silo amount mover. I think that's what it's called, where it will move objects to reflect the level of product that it has in storage. So we're used to that all the time and seeing things move for, barley storage or whatever. We're not used to seeing it for cattle, but that's kind of how he has it set up. So I kind of have an idea that maybe I can make the cattle disappear when there is none in there, like we didn't have any for the longest time while we were accumulating materials, to have them. So I potentially could make them go away and only show up, once we have them to literally haul off. But that's kind of another story, just an idea that I had. So, we kind of talked about the feeding of the cattle. Well, other things related to the cattle is, of course, this introduced in Farm Sim 11 was the good old manure pile. And of course, since we don't have any milk cattle, it is sitting here empty, high and dry. But I wanted to make sure that it worked. I think it did. Honestly, I never tested it with Farmer Yip, but I did a few things that I'll show you in a moment. I'll go right by that group of mother hen and chicks. And then also over here, and you may recall on the base map, there is a big old, I don't even know what you call it, this big old cylinder-shaped tank for slurry. Well, for this particular map mod, Farmer Yip chose to use this concrete bunker to have the liquid manure, the slurry. So I did my best to review it and make sure it was set up similar to the way the Giants have. And so I spent some time with this map making some of these updates and changes. And actually, I'm going to just hop out here. We're going to save the game so nothing goes away. And I'm going to head over to the map and show you a couple things. Back in a moment. Okay, here we are in the map editor and I'm sure everybody recognizes this. In the editor, you do happen to see these bunkers as if they are full. It's a facade. It's all handled by the underlying script. We see it here in the editor so that we know what we're dealing with. But underneath it all, there are scripts that move it. Well, in the base game map, they have what's called a cow zone. And so I took all the parts and pieces for the cow zone that Farmer Yip had formerly kind of just buried down here wherever he chose to put them. And I moved a lot of them up here into the cow zone area just for the sake of organization. I've never made a map, but when you open a mod map, you can definitely tell that there are some modders who choose to be more organized than others. And it probably is just whatever suits their personality. I don't mean anything about that on Farmer Yip. He just chose to stack things in probably as he put them in. And, if he needed it, he could go to it and point to it. But some people like organizing things in here, and I'm probably an organizer type. What can I say? I'm an accountant in my day job. So this, as you can see, all the stuff that's outlined here is kind of the stuff that's related to the milk cows, although we don't really see the pasture. The times in here I've tried to highlight the pasture zone, if you will, it turns the whole map white. And I still think that I have an install problem. Maybe it's related to having the Pro Farms DLC in here at the same time that screwed some things up. I don't know. Maybe it's a corruption of some kind. I know I've expressed the problems I've had with some of the mods being off, where you have to, change the indices over here in the XML files, and it's just baffling. It makes absolutely no sense at all. So I kind of think I have some of that going on in here because, here's what can happen when you mod, and it happened to me. I just mentioned I tried to arrange some things here in similar order and fashion to how I saw them in the main or in the Farm Sim 11 base map. It's always good to try to compare to the Giants if you're trying to do something and set things up the way they do it. And the reason for that is many times because the scripts of the game are pulling pieces out of the transform groups, and if you don't have them exactly in the place where those scripts expect to find things, then you can have trouble in game, getting it to work properly. So it's always good to check out how the Giants do it, whether it's an app or anything else. But I kind of think the law of unintended consequences kind of came into effect here, because when I did all this moving around, it seemed pretty innocuous, at least to me. But I think I ended up screwing some things up, because there's a, well, shoot, let me just go find it. I'll just get it open here. The log file has something in it that I don't recall seeing before. I'll just show it to you real quick. And I've tried to look up the error. I found it in the script. Here it is. Here's the error that started popping. Error. Only allowed to add objects while loading maps. Now, I looked up the source of this, and I could show you in the Lua code, but I won't bother you with that. But I see it in the Lua code. It appears to be for the loading of dynamic objects. Now, dynamic objects are those that move around in game. Anything you see here like a shed isn't going to move. It is static. So that'd be a static object. A dynamic one might be something like a bale of hay. Those are dynamic because they're intended to be moved around. And then there's something kind of in between them called kinematic. And a kinematic object is designed to kind of stay in the same spot, but it will move. If a script tells it to move, it's acted on by something else to move. So a lot of times, for example, when you have a plane like this for these, not silage, for the chaff, or for the grass plane here, that'll move up and down depending on the level in storage, those a lot of times will be treated as kinematic objects. And so those are the three kinds of objects. But anyway, this error, it's in some code that is related to loading dynamic objects. So I've been scratching my head saying, well, hey, all this stuff I've been doing here, there isn't a single dynamic object in there, so I don't know why my moving of many of those things up into here into a different transform group, would be generating this kind of error. And as a consequence too, and we don't see it in game anymore because I fixed it. Most of the specialty crops, the specialty fill types and things that Farmer Yip added, like pigs. Pigs is a fill type in here. Cattle is a fill type, although I think cattle showed up on there. Or silica or rock. Some of those things that he created, to be used in these processes. What I noticed in game, again, the law of unintended consequences, not only did it pop this pesky error, it now stopped showing how much I had in storage. All of a sudden, I could no longer see how many pigs I had in storage. And I think somehow it's related to this error. I just don't know how. I've tried to research this error at the Giants Developer Network. I see it appearing in places there, but I don't see anybody ever asking about it. And I've looked it up on the Giants forum and so forth. And frankly, even if I do see someone or if I eventually see someone who's dealt with it, odds are that it isn't going to apply to my situation, because I still believe I have a corrupted setup. It is working, but there's a reason I can't show you the cattle zone here, or that it will take up the whole map. It'll be way out here, although when you do buy cattle, they're going to stay within the confines of the pasture. It's just a head scratcher, and I don't understand why. So I guess I say all that to say that it's possible, if I reinstalled the game, and if I did it without the Pro Farm DLC, it's possible this error would simply go away. Of course, I would have a whole bunch of other errors, I think, in all those mods, that I've tweaked, to be off an index here or there. Those all of a sudden wouldn't work, if they were now supposed to be working properly. But I digress. So I did a bunch of organization here. You can see all the triggers there. Lots and lots of triggers here, just all over the place in here, so you can dump anywhere in here and it'll go in there. Farmer Yip, maybe one thing I'll show here, he had something pretty creative. Let's see if I can find it. when he set up his other bunkers, which are kind of over here, I think you store feed stuff, sugar beets and potatoes over there. He had it so you could dump it in the front, and then he had something that you could scoop it up with a shovel to get it out of there. And you kind of got to use the parameters or means in the game to pick it up. What he chose to do, let me see if I can make it visible. Do you see these 4 things here? Maybe sometimes you've seen the silo trigger. You know, when you take it out of a silo, you'll see all 4 sides of it. Well, he took all 4 sides and he laid them flat. And I believe if you come in here with and we'll give this a try at some point, or I need to make sure it works. But if you come in here with a front end loader and pick it up, you can grab it from here. You might be able to pick up material from this, you know, using kind of one of those elevators. I haven't used it yet in this game. Farmer Yip does have capability of, you know, tip anywhere is built into this map. So maybe the elevator that you use to pick up those things that are tipped could also pick it up out of here. I don't know. But he has several of these, or I put several of them, kind of across the bottom. Oh, yeah, you're not going to see them. They're all stacked across here. I put them all across here. Again, trying to duplicate the setup that he had on these. Who knows if it works? Like I say, I still need to test it in game, see if it works, and go from there. And you can also see, yeah, there's the manure plane over here. It appears like it's full, but it really isn't. When you go in game, if it doesn't have any material, it'll go to the bottom, kind of like this one here for the slurry. But anyway, those are just some of the changes and updates that I made in here. And like I say, anytime, you all probably notice this too, anybody that tinkers with a mod, and it's one of the most maddening things, and it's a reason I haven't done an episode on this in a little while, although you'd never know that based on how they come out on YouTube. But you know, I broke something, and I don't know what I broke. But here's something that I also figured out. Sometimes, you know, in spite of this error, we can live with this error. I hate seeing errors in the log. I really do. And you know, here's potentially another one. Why is it loading the map 3 times? You know, it should only load it once, I think, but it's loading it 3 times. I don't understand that either. But anyway, there are a lot of errors, and most of us do this all the time, that we just simply live with, and if the game still works. And you know, when I popped this open in game, everything still worked, even though I couldn't see the level of rock, of silica, of pigs, or those kinds of things. I found that when I dump things into the troughs, you know, like cattle or the hogs, when I tried to pick up animals, everything worked normally. So I know they were installed in the game, and sure enough, it was retaining data. I could see that on the save game file, so I knew everything was okay down in the XML files for the save game. But I really wanted to have things appear on my PDA map. I wanted to know how much I had in there. So here's the workaround that I did, and this is purely a bandaid. I added a trigger that nobody will ever see. Let me just jump to it. Here it is, way down here. It's under the map. I'll just zoom out. Obviously, way down here, nobody will ever reach it. But there is something in the tip trigger. And here's all the things I put in there. Rock, feed stuff, I put cattle in there, biofuel, pigs, so forth and so on. All these things that I couldn't see. And when you put is farm trigger, it automatically puts these into your PDA. So you at any time can see how much you have in storage. And this was a critical piece. This is powered by the tip trigger. Kind of funny to have a little trigger sitting way down here nobody will ever touch, but who cares? It does, like I say, it's a band-aid. It puts all those commodities back into the PDA so I can see them, but it still doesn't get rid of the error. But you know what? I don't really care. It's okay. So now let's switch back to the game, and we'll see how our guys are doing. Back in a moment. All right, everyone, welcome back. We see our guy kind of coming up here to. Oh, he needs to refuel. Following his course up to the barn, we'll get him going with another batch of hogs, hauling them to market. Yeah, kind of going by the area, and we'll get him stopped here. We'll reset his course. We'll come down here and grab HIJK pig to market. There we go. You know, just to follow up kind of on the conversation we were having, if I go clear to the end, here's the area I'm talking about out here, the one showing all the storage. You know, that little error cost me all this data that I would kind of like to see. And so by the little fix out that I made, you know, I'm able to see it now, even though I still have that pesky error in there. Alright, let's jam this back in here, somewhere in here. Oh! There, and it's working like a charm. You can see it going down, so I know it's behaving. Now, I'm gonna just kind of let him sit there. We're basically at the end of the video here, so I will pick this up, I think, in the next one. I may need to go unload some corn. He's gonna need some fuel, so I'm gonna have to escort him a little bit. Let me hop back out to the harvest field. Got some baling to do. Oh, goodness. Takes forever and a day to get back to... Oh, he's still harvesting. He's kind of taking a sweet time. Alright, so you know what? I will leave it there. I'm continuing to enjoy Feldy, and I'm trying to tweak the app here kind of as I go, making fixes, updates, and what have you, just to make an more enjoyable experience for myself. I don't know if any of this is meaningful to anyone, but thank you for taking time to stop by and listen to me dribble on with all this. I will see you on the next time we're here on Feldy. Have a great day.